Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to get straight in. I want to share with you some tips really about how to deal with isolation, and in particular, some tips I used during a race around the world called the Vendée Globe. And then going to go on and share a recent expedition with you and have some thoughts, give you some thoughts about things as leaders you can do to energize your teams during this uncertain time. For those of you who don't know me, I've been involved in professional world of sport for nearly 2 decades. So I sort of kicked off really with a little bit of background there, and I suppose I should explain these pictures. I've been lucky enough to race around the world 3 times. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the last round the world race I did, which was the Vendée Globe, 104 days on my own. So an extended period of lockdown. And then more recently, I was the professional skipper on board a Channel 4 recreation of Captain Bligh's incredible voyage, Mutiny, which you may have caught on Channel 4. So I'm going to talk a little bit about something I developed after that program around the senses. I call it the 6 senses. So you go from leaving this crescendo of people, 300,000 lining the shore, saying goodbye to not seeing anybody for this very long period of time, and it hits you. I mean, it certainly. Most of us never spend any time on our own, but what you can do is develop a routine. It's really important that you call loved ones and make your environment a place which is safe. The next thing I'd say is it can be very overwhelming in this situation, so focus on the things that you really can control. I had about 400 miles west of Cape Town, so I've sailed down through the Atlantic. I broke one of my 2 rudders. I managed to get back in the race, albeit 500 miles behind the last place boat. Like I had another 90 days to go. And so breaking things down into small chunks and celebrating those moments. So this is Christmas Day in the Southern Ocean. Take a moment, give yourself a pat on the back and say, well done. So that was really some tips and some thoughts from the Vendée. I want to move on to Mutiny. I described this voyage as one of the most audacious voyages I've ever done. And Bligh, when he was cast adrift 230 years ago, he got into a tiny 7-meter boat with 19 other men and had the conviction and the belief that he would not only survive, but he would navigate this little boat nearly 4,000 miles. So we were cast adrift in Tonga. Our voyage was remarkably similar. We were cast adrift with the same rations as Bligh had. We had the same equipment that he had. We had 3 of these biscuits per day. We had 28 gallons of water. So we were starving for 60 days. We were on less calories, about 400 calories a day. And what we're seeing in these kind of very difficult moments is the importance of trust. We're seeing it every day with the government's press briefings, and trust is absolutely critical in a situation like this. Trust isn't just about leaders having trust, it's also about followers. And by followership, I mean understanding that leading is very, very difficult. And so showing the behaviors of being a great follower is really important in an organization. Which leads me on to the 6 senses. So the first one is a sense of present. This is a barometer. This is a moment. What's the mood like in your organization right now? What's morale like? The second sense is a sense of excitement. And to do that, we need a clear image of where we want to be. The third one is a sense of belonging. And here, like any team environment, it's the thing that brings people together. We are one, we have pride and we're going to stick together. We're going to see this through. We're going to get through this situation. The fourth sense is a sense of performance, and this is about, you know, how we optimize ourselves. So here we have our little wooden boat. We've got our strategy. Well, right now it's quite difficult to think long term about where we might be at the end of this. So where are you best needed right now? Is it with your team? Is it calling your team every day, making sure that they trust, they understand that there's a plan to get through this? You know, how do you look after your ship in the context of us? The ship keeps us all safe. It's perhaps the company. It's the thing that pays the mortgage. In all those good years, now we need it more than ever. So how are we going to maintain it? How are we going to look after it? How are we going to make sure that the repairs get done to keep it and service through for the next 50 years? So on to the final two senses. We have a sense of purpose, and I think this is probably the most important of all of them. Companies that really balance their opportunity for profit and doing good are going to do well, certainly in the short to medium term. We're going to see organizations with real values coming forward. And I think it's a really important time to have good sense of purpose. You know, it's really a time to go the extra mile for others. And the final sense is the sense of future. Where do we want to be? How are we going to get there? Giving a sense of how we're going to come out of this, how much stronger we're going to be as a result of going through it, and what the landscape's going to look like when we get to the other side. So we're just coming to the end. We're in the last 200 miles to Timor, and arguably the most difficult part of the voyage came ahead of us. You get so close to the finish and you think, you know, we're now through this. We've come nearly 50 days together, but we then got becalmed. And in fact, we got becalmed for nearly 10 days. And so it was a difficult time. We looked a bit like this. This is us arriving on the beach in Timor, looking a little bit overgrown and skinny. And here's the final senses. And what you can do is put them into action. You know, where are you right now? You don't have to choose them all. Which senses will give you immediate results? And of course, how can you make a difference? Thank you very much.